Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. I'm welcoming you episode 160. We are in season 5 in the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. Quote of today, as you know, we have a great partnership with missionstatements.com, and here is the quote of today. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Great. Well, we have a special guest in the American Business Podcast. Let's invite our guest to our stage and let's get the conversation started. Hello, Corey. Welcome to the American Business Podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Of course, pleasure is all mine. How are you? How is your week so far?
It's good. It's good. It's been an interesting year and times. I know we'll talk about that with all the things going on, but no complaints at all.
Yeah, this is good. Yes, well, okay, why don't we get started? We have a lot to cover, and I've been waiting for these interviews. So I'm curious. I'm sure our audience, our listeners and viewers, they love to learn about your professional background and learn from your professional insights. Okay, as a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our listeners and to our viewers?
Yeah, thank you. I am the owner and CEO of Voltage. We're a digital marketing agency. We're based in Kansas City. We serve clients across North America. We've got a longer story of how we've gotten here, but we're a specialist agency working specifically with clients on driving ROI through search marketing, which includes AI now too, as well as building websites for kind of right fit applications and purposes. Additionally, I have another business called Digital Marketing Success Plan. It's connected to my book under the same title. We do coaching and consulting and digital strategy planning through that. And it's got connections back to the agency as well.
I understand you are also a published author. Would you like to tell us about your book?
Yeah, so Digital Marketing Success Plan, as I just mentioned, is my book. And it is where I unpack the 5-step START as an acronym planning framework. I openly give it away as I take on and love the phrase and the mantra helping, not selling, especially in an industry where there's a lot of mystique and misunderstanding and how Google works, how now OpenAI works, and all the others of what really goes into a plan and what you should have in a plan. And I, of course, share some fun stories of how I learned a lot of these lessons the hard way in there too.
Absolutely. Well, we love talking about books in the American Business Podcast. That's very educational, very informative. I'm also a published author myself, so I understand how hard you work to put a book together. So that's something that I appreciate. So I'm glad that we are talking about your book. And how can our audience get your book? What is the best way?
Yeah, so it's available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback version. It's a long title, Digital Marketing Success Plan. So I've shortened that for the domain. It's the dmsp.com. It's got a website. You can find it there and get the quick link over to Amazon as well.
This is great. Well, in your company, what type of organizations that you are working with and you are assisting?
Yeah, so we went through the process of narrowing down to just the 2 things that we do as well as we feel like as anybody in North America and beyond. And when we did that, we kind of niched down in terms of the service line first rather than into specific verticals and industries. There are some definite trends, though, where expertise-driven companies, longer sales cycles, not competing on price, but quality versus quantity, those types of factors come into a lot of our client relationships and the types of clients we work with. So a lot of professional services firms, B2B. But I say all that as we have some great track records and success stories with e-commerce, with nonprofits as well. So while we're not in a really defined vertical, you'll find patterns of it, but a lot of commonalities where it comes to deep search marketing expertise and driving defined and measurable ROI through a search engine, through an LLM, and all of that really going through a positive website experience as well.
Can you tell us about your career journey? How did you get started? How your career journey has unfolded over the years?
Yeah, without giving you the 20-minute version, yeah, I thought I was on a track with a marketing degree to work in an ad agency someday, and I accomplished that. But I knew not as a creative or a web developer or a strategist at the time that I'd probably be on an account management path. And so I landed my first job in a digital agency as a project manager and learned some HTML, learned some back before everything was open source, and learned some basic Photoshop skills and how the web worked. And that fueled curiosity when I got introduced to the topic of search engine optimization. So was fortunate to get some of the best training in the industry 20 years ago in SEO and move into that and kind of own that as subject matter expertise and then broaden that out into other digital marketing channels as well. And from that original agency I was in, moved to Voltage and have maybe not the most common entrepreneurial journey as I went from an employee to owner several years ago as well.
That's really impressive, and congratulations with the success.
Thank you.
And speaking of success, what is the secret of your success? If you'd like to share some
Yeah,
insights with us.
yeah. I wish I had learned this earlier in my career before hitting maybe some ceilings or some walls, both personally and professionally, about how I needed to better understand maybe my why and what I wanted in terms of career path and development, and to set 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year goals and then go through a process of recalibrating those at whatever season of life or when things changed. It was a little bit later on when the topic of, well, what do you want to do? Do you want, when you max out here in these roles of being running a search team or whatever, do you want to be an agency owner? Do you want to go work for a brand? What do you want to do? And it was really when I started wrestling with those questions and that topic that I really started mapping it out and finding some conviction and then being able to get surrounded by mentors and friends and peers to be able to unlock that. I wish I had done that, maybe started doing that maybe 5 years prior to that. But I don't know that I would necessarily change anything on my journey, but that's been important for me personally. It's something I talk with my staff and leaders about, as well as others who maybe haven't mapped that out or thought ahead on that.
How do you see the state of your industry, marketing services, professional services in a way? What are the opportunities, challenges, and disruptors you are seeing nowadays?
Yeah, so I'm involved in a couple of different peer groups with other agency owners, and we sit down and we workshop our challenges and we talk about our big wins and opportunities and ideas. It's been really uneven, and I would say that there are a number of external factors that dictate that, and there are internal ones as well. Some of the challenges are we're a very people-driven industry, and I'm talking specifically about agency owners. This can translate to marketing teams as well. And when we struggle to quantify our results and our work and don't get if we are measured by activity instead of return on investment, sometimes we can realize that we're in a bad position where we might have the wrong staffing, the wrong model, especially when we look at the new technologies that emerge, projects that start or end, clients that come and go, and some of the pressures. Most of my colleagues are very people first. So slow to change staffing, and that's really a heavy burden that we carry of caring about people, and people being most of the product of our businesses in the agency space, and also being a degree removed from some of the decisions and budgets of our clients and being informed later on in a decision process. So all of those things, those external factors plus the internal ones where we have to not make emotional decisions at times but still have a lot of humanity, those are some of the challenges. Now, some of the great opportunities, um, I'm just so excited about the growth and scaling that we've been doing, and just the opportunities to dig deeper. Some of the new technologies and disruptions and AI, mandates from different organizations have allowed us to get deeper in the conversation about connecting the dots for attribution and return on investment, get deeper into CRMs with our clients, and not just sit over here behind the KPIs for search marketing or where you're ranking or what keywords you're on or what your Google ads doing, but to really get into the business side of it and nerd out there. And that's a lot of fun. Not everybody's excited to do that. My team is, and I am personally, and I feel like that's a huge opportunity for us to get deeper into the conversation, and to understand how we can best support clients and not just throw some services at it.
Well, we have a popular subject in the American business podcast that is AI. How do you see the impact of AI on business nowadays?
Yeah, I tried not to sprinkle in AI too much, but it's impossible to avoid getting into it even early in our conversation. It's definitely disappointing some organizations that don't understand it, but decided that they're going to increase, they set a bunch of metrics about like what they want AI to do by a certain period of time. And unfortunately, in many cases, it's either not understood well enough, not developed far enough, or just not ready or realistic to see that through. Um, where I see a lot of efficiencies though are being able to scale things and do tasks that are low value. You don't want someone at a, that is highly compensated wasting their time on a low value, low return task. At the same time, it's important to have enough oversight built in so we're not just spamming and creating low value content, with at volume, and just doing it for the sake of doing it. So in many cases, it's operational efficiencies where it can speed up and replicate things. It's research capacity, the ability to, in my world, in search, be found and cited, toward your target audience in another place and not be beholden strictly to Google being the, who has been for a while, the big primary source in the search space. So there's a lot of opportunities with it. Personally, I use it for anything that I don't have time to do, don't want to do, and or don't know how to do. To be honest, it's a good starting point, but it's not one where I have different accounts and different platforms and used for the right things, and I've had to spend hundreds of hours training and feeding. It's not where I can just go without an account off the shelf and go plug in something and expect to get a really in-depth answer or one that knows me.
Well, we get this question all the time. It's because businesses they try to put their brand out, promote their brand. So, as a of course marketing professional or marketing organization, and as a business owner at the same time, what are the best marketing practices for the highest ROI nowadays?
Yeah, so I'll say categorically there's two things, and they both might sound a little selfish, but please note that again, in the book, I give away examples of how I failed and how I
Mhm.
learned a lot of things. But having a solid plan, if it's very tempting to go just test the next thing, go put money into Google. Now that ChatGPT ads are a thing and a pilot, so go put money in those things and test them and see if they work. That's going to be really expensive because Google, now OpenAI, and others will take your money whether it's working or not. And if you hire an agency or hire in-house staff, you have those costs on top of that too, whether it's working or not. So mitigating as many risks as you can is what the start planning process is all about. And again, you don't have to buy the book, or if there's a financial burden on getting it, reach out to me. I'll be happy to take care of it. But in terms of the channels specifically, we still see a lot of the other selfish side of this answer is we still see a lot of success in Google ads and search engine optimization. And when I say that though, that's the modernized version of it, thinking about, expertise, trust, authority, some of those factors there that have changed over the past few years. But many of those overlap with best practices for being found in an LLM or an AI search as well. And so those channels are working really well for us. I know they're not working as well for, admittedly, for some colleagues who haven't gone as deep as we have, or who haven't modernized, or just doing like one little sprinkling in a layer of it, because it has evolved. But I also know other colleagues who are just absolutely crushing it in the space as well, and being able to show ROI based on some competitors kind of falling off, and then being able to take advantage of filling that gap too.
Yeah, I love the fact that you talk about measuring the marketing and how much you spend, and you trace it and you test it, and just like you described, it is possible to mitigate risk and taking baby steps for finding the best marketing practice for that particular organization. So these are really important insights. So they're not really throwing money, they're actually measuring and getting the result, seeing, comparing, and then take the next step accordingly. So that really helps them in terms of their marketing investment. That's what I'm understanding from your description.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to have accountability. I use the analogy of, you know, I can't guarantee results, but neither can my financial advisor. But I'm still putting money in the markets, but it's with an expectation of return, right? So if that money's
Yes.
not getting a return, and if my financial advisor's not telling me the forward thinking strategic approach to what they're doing, and how they're reacting and blending that in a very strategic way, then I'm going to lose trust in them. And the same accountability should be in marketing. It's not just this nebulous thing that we put money in and it's like a lottery ticket. Maybe we get it back and get frustrated, or that no one can understand it. It's with the right research and planning, not planning for like 6 months to be planning, but mitigating as many of those risks, getting your version of a prospectus that your financial advisor gives you, whether you read it or not, about the funds you're going to be in, and translating that to what we're going to do in the marketing, digital marketing space as well. It shouldn't be this big mystery that, or guess. It should be planned and proactive.
From your point of view, how would you define leadership, and what are the great leadership qualities a good leader must have?
Yeah, so I have a few. I've gone through plenty of leadership training, going back even to a program I was in college, way too many years ago. But in terms of leadership, I think the keys for me, at least today in this season of business ownership and in life, are trust, doing hard things, being willing to do hard things, um, transparency, and authenticity. If I'm saying something in public or to a client that I wouldn't say to my team, that's a problem. If I'm not being transparent and showing enough detail about the business, our vision, and where we're going, it's hard to expect that my staff or my team will want to fall in line and align on the same goals and vision, mission, and values as well. And making sure that they're not just fluff, they're not just on a wall or on a sign, but things we live by. And for me, in terms of leadership and how I want to lead, that means showing up every day and living those and being the first example of that. So I feel like, those all are kind of related to each other: trust, transparency, authenticity, and then the doing hard things. The team and, internally and externally, people see that, when I'm willing to make a decision of how we repoint the direction of the company, or we realign our services, or stop doing something that's not at the level of what we expect or our clients expect as well.
Have you had any role models, any mentors who help you shape your career journey over the years?
Yeah, I've had some really great bosses before I got to the seat that I'm in today, owners of agencies I worked in, as well as having a great mentor that I kind of sought out when I realized search engine optimization was a thing. And I kind of nerded out and got excited, like wanting to learn more. Found a manager who was willing to kind of take me under his wing and point me to other experts in the industry, not just to sit down and teach me or dictate, but help me get connected to others and turn those relationships over to me directly. So I could learn from the community and not just from one person. And so those have been great for me. The agency owners I worked for some that were just tremendous business owners, and they showed me not just the subject matter side of what I was doing day to day in the agency, but how to get outside of that and think about the company overall as a business, in an industry where the agency business is not for the faint of heart.
We have a little tradition in the American Business Podcast. I have a question for you coming from our previous guest. And after you answer that, I'll ask you to leave a question with me in this episode. I'll take the question and ask to our coming guest. And the question for you from our previous guest is, do you see AI as a threat or opportunity for American small businesses?
So I'm 100% in the camp where it is an opportunity. I have colleagues who have gone through all the changes with Google and other technology over the past 10, 20, 30 years. And some are like, I'm done. I don't want to sign up for learning the next thing and pivoting again for the next decade. I'm out. And I respect that. And I have others who are like, this is a huge opportunity for us to go where it's going and be leaders in the space while others maybe sit on the sideline or slowly get pushed out. And so whether that again is in a new operating model, for me, if it's in being found on having clients be found online in new platforms and in new ways and being found by their target customer audience, but even just embracing the technology and being willing to go with it, even if new things happen every day, to find energy in that versus finding that draining. And we're all wired a little bit differently. There's a balance in making sure that you're not living every day chasing that shiny object and forgetting about what works today. And the other end of the spectrum is you get to the end of your week, there's no time left to go do any testing in the new tech and in new AI things, to not make sure you don't bury your head in the sand and ignore what's coming. And so there's a lot of balance to find in that, depending on which end of the spectrum you're on or somewhere in the middle, to leverage it. But I definitely see it as an opportunity for those who embrace it.
What is your question for the next guest coming in the American Business Podcast?
Yeah, I would love to have them answer what trends they're seeing across businesses when it comes to planning for and expecting the unexpected in our
Okay,
world.
that's a
I
great
feel like
question. Well,
I feel
yeah.
like every day, every week, every month, there's a new external thing. AI is
Yes,
a big one of them, but there's enough going on in the world. How do we try to maintain stability in an unstable world?
it's a great question, and we'll make sure to ask that question to our coming guest. Thank you very much. In this episode in the American Business Podcast, do you have any question you would like to ask me?
I would let me ask you a question about some of the best business advice you'd received. Let me ask you that one that you asked me.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Well, yes. I mean, I'm actually really fortunate to meet with many business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders like yourself, and each guest that we have in the American Business Podcast, they bring a wealth of insights, professional wisdom. That's just how it is. And most of them, saying for you, there is humility. They are very modest, down to earth. It is very natural when they talk about it, but it's actually a wealth of knowledge right there. They don't most of the time notice it because they really internalize it and they are modest. But I just see it, like when I have these conversations, I just see it right there, and I really appreciate it. And that is the environment that we are trying to create in the American Business Podcast. So there is many. The consistency is one of them. The discipline is another of them, and finding something that you love to do is also another of them. So one of our guests, for example, shared a clue about this, like how to understand we really love what we do. So he actually said that, sometimes we really work hard and then time really passes by. Like I just started 8 o'clock and it's already 6 p.m. Like how the time pass? You don't even notice that really. And he says that this is a really good sign. That means that you love what you do. Time just passes by. You enjoy it. You don't feel like you are drained, but you may be tired, but you enjoy what you do, and you feel like time really passes by so easily. So the moment that we feel that, we experience that, it means that we are doing something that we love. For example, that's another insight, that advice that I got for our community, business community. Also, being open-minded is the key. So, and you also mentioned that earlier. So things are changing. Change is part of the business. That's just inevitable. Change is only constant, right? As they always say. And keeping the open mind, keep learning, and keep searching for something new to learn and continues to improve. These are the ones that comes to my mind right away. And this is really like easy to say. I can really summarize these things, but this is really a work. You gotta actually put effort in it. Putting effort is not something that we can really make it up for, right? We just really gotta do it, roll up our sleeves and work for it. So yeah, these are the ones that I can say, top of my head.
Yeah, well said.
All right. Well, I see it as a business community, so it's a great opportunity to
Yeah.
learn from you and learn from our guest. and I truly appreciate it. What is your career advice for next generation professionals?
Yeah, I'm going to tie back to a little bit about what I said earlier, but maybe drill down a little bit more. So, understanding and figuring out your why. I've learned working with great people that sometimes my business and even my industry isn't the right one for them. And so, for me, I try to be open and supportive of that for people who haven't addressed that on their side in their career. I talked earlier about how, it took me a few more years than maybe I would have wanted to actually start sitting down and thinking about that, but understanding your why. And some companies are great about really pushing employees to figure that out. Some it's very clear because of maybe what industry they serve or what cause that they support. Very clear if you align with it or not. But in corporate America or businesses that are not, maybe in a industry that you very specifically aligned with, maybe you're doing more generalist stuff or you're in an industry that you didn't choose, then the quicker you can figure out your why, and it can change from season to season of life and as things happen, but understand that, figure out where it aligns or doesn't with your current company, be open to the degree that they will allow you to be. I love organizations that allow you to be transparent in that. And if there's ever a disconnect, to be able to talk about that in a constructive and safe way. So nobody's surprised and everybody can be supportive over the years on both sides of the employee and the employer in those conversations and making sure that it's a relationship to work, just like what you described, where it's frictionless. There's a passion for it. You do it without thinking about, is it 5 o'clock yet? And everybody essentially wins.
For those who like to continue this conversation with you and learn more about your organization, what is the best way that they can be in touch with you and learn about your company and services?
Yeah, there's 3 quick avenues for the agency itself. If we can be helpful, it's voltage.digital. So just reach out to us there. For any information about the book or content around digital marketing success plan and start planning process, that's the dmsp.com. And for any types of speaking or interview engagements, CoreyMorris.com would be a great way to find me. And all of those will funnel back to me if you reach out on any of that.
Well, it's been a great conversation, Corey. Thank you so much for being with us in the American Business Podcast. And thank you for sharing your professional insights and wisdom with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much and have a great day. To our audience and to our listeners, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back after a short break. Thank you so much. Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. I'm welcoming you episode 169 in the American Business Podcast. Quote of today. As you know, we have a great partnership with missionstatements.com, and here is the quote of today. Experience is not what happens to a man. It is what a man does with what happens to him. Okay, great. Well, I have a special guest in the American Business Podcast. I'm going to invite our guest to our stage and let's get the conversation started. Hello, Asia. Welcome to the American Business Podcast.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
It's my pleasure. It's very nice meeting you in the American Business Podcast. How are you? How is your week going so far?
It's going well so far. It's Tuesday. I'm going to vote today. And of course, I get to do this. So we're off to a good start for the week.
Okay, this is great. Where are you connecting out of?
I am in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, which is right on Lake Michigan.
Okay, this is great. Well, I'm excited about our conversation. So let's get this started. If that's okay, as a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our listeners and to our
Sure.
viewers?
Yeah, my name is Asia Dor, and I am a brand strategist. So I help entrepreneurs, my fellow entrepreneurs, and small business owners build brands that position them as experts so that they can really become known as authorities in their spaces. They can attract the right people, the correct people to them. And really, what it's about at the end of the day is working how they want to work and utilizing their very specific skill set in the very specific way that they want to use it.
Yeah, this is a great service that we are offering, especially in the American Business Podcast. We support American businesses, nonprofits, manufacturers, and the business community. And um, being a thought leader and positioning yourself as a thought leader, it's very important. And I'm glad that you're offering that service and support. It's very important for businesses. Um, well, how about your career journey? How did you get started? How your career journey has unfolded over the years?
Well, this is very much the classic I didn't choose the brand strategy life. The brand strategy life chose me
Okay,
because
we are all
I
ears.
really, I really started my business by accident as a photographer back in 2014. And I eventually made my way to brand photography. And what I realized very quickly is that while my clients wanted these amazing brand photos for their businesses, they couldn't actually explain to me what their brand was. They didn't have a really solid understanding of their brand. And of course, if I don't understand your brand, I can't photograph for it. So the strategy piece became a really important part of my work as a photographer. And I quickly realized, like, oh, this is the part that's actually really exciting to me, is the stuff that comes before the photography. So in 2020, I dropped the photography altogether and strictly have focused on the brand strategy portion ever since.
Yes, we are always interested in these career journeys because, just like you mentioned, you never know how it's gonna actually shape and unfold it, and there is always something
It's so true.
learn.
And I think there's so much value in just following our curiosity and following the things that we're passionate about and interested in, and just kind of saying yes to everything until you sort of figure out what you like and don't like. I think that's one of the best ways to sort of go on this entrepreneurship journey.
What is the secret of your success?
Well, it's very glamorous. I would say, above all, the secret to my success is trial and error and just being really okay with things not working. I would say for most of my business, I've been in business, almost 12 years now. There have been a lot more things that didn't work than things that did work. And that's still true to this day. I mean, I'm definitely a lot more experienced now. I'm a lot more clear about what it is that I do now, but I still experiment and make mistakes every single day. I still send emails that no one opens. I still launch offers that no one signs up for. So it's really, I think, just about the willingness to go through that trial and error process in order to find what does work, because what does work is going to be different for everybody.
How would you define the state of your industry? Any insights that you can share with us?
Well, this is a little bit spicy because I have pretty much spent my entire business career kind of being pissed off at my industry, if I'm being really honest. I think that the branding industry, the mainstream branding industry, really teaches us to focus on aesthetics and the visual aspect of branding and making sure everything is perfect. And also just the fact that as small business owners, we are taught to brand ourselves like these trillion-dollar corporations because look what they've done and look how successful they are. But the truth is, those corporations have, billions of dollars to throw at their marketing to essentially manipulate our perceptions to make us feel about their brand however they want us to feel. Whereas as small business owners, we don't usually have the luxury of billions of dollars. So we have to build our brands in a much more genuine way by showing up and saying and sharing and doing the things that genuinely make people feel the way that we actually want them to feel. Which means that you have to know, first of all, how you want people to feel, but then you also have to have a plan for, okay, what am I going to do and say and share in order to bridge that gap so people see me how I want to be seen. Not in a manipulative way, but just in a genuine and authentic way. So as far as the state of the industry, I think there is definitely a lot more room for talking about things like vision and authenticity and the value of personal experience. And I love it when other people in the branding industry are sharing that type of message, because I really believe that when we start building a brand from that, the brands are much more effective in the long run.
Yeah, this is actually really informative, and we organize Podcast and Plus networking event every last Friday of every month, and I'll make sure to invite you as well. And we talk about small businesses, American small businesses, and we also promote American small businesses there in that event. And to your point, with AI now, the small businesses, American small businesses, and small businesses in general, they have a great opportunity to transform their businesses, and actually position themselves in a way that they can be more competitive in the marketplace. So, having said that, what is your take on AI? How do you see the impact of AI on business nowadays?
It's complicated. I do think that there are, from what I understand, and I am not at all an expert in AI, but from what I understand and what I have researched, there is a great application for it in terms of organizing and processing data and information. And that includes, making tedious processes more streamlined so that we can then focus on the stuff that actually matters in our businesses. The issue that I have with AI is when entrepreneurs especially, but people in general, start to rely on it for ideas or creativity or critical thinking, because there's a certain amount of self-trust then that is lacking. I think it's much more important to trust ourselves more than we trust the computer, more than we trust the robot, and utilize it more as a tool instead of relying on it to do anything really, but especially to do business, and especially for business owners who are truly passionate about the work that they're doing and have a lot of depth in their work. They're not just showing up to make money. They actually care about what they're doing. To see those people rely so heavily on AI, whether that's, again, for like content creation or for just writing an email. The other day I needed to reschedule an interview because of some like heavy personal stuff that was going on. And so I explained that a little bit in my email. And the email I got back it was very nice. I was like, okay, like no problem, take care of yourself. And at the end of the email, it said, would you like me to rewrite this so that it sounds more personal and friendly? And it's like, oh, okay, you don't actually care about me. You just hit reply using AI. And so it's those sort of things that I think we need to really be cautious of when it comes to utilizing AI in our businesses.
Okay, well, the best marketing practices, based on your experience and observation, what are the best marketing practices for the highest ROI?
Okay, this is going to be an annoying answer for people who are like, what's the best one? But in my 12 years of experience, the best marketing tactic is the one that, number one, matches the way that you prefer to communicate, the way that you're good at communicating, the way that you're good at sharing your message. Number two is the same way that your target audience likes to consume content or learn information or search for things. So we need to match those things up. And number three is the one that you can do consistently over a long period of time and still enjoy, or at least still show up for, without being like, okay, this sucks, I hate it, I quit. Because any marketing tactic is going to work if you have those three things locked in.
How would you define leadership? And what are the great leadership qualities a good leader must have?
I like to define leadership as simply a willingness to go first and then invite others to come along with you. I think that the best leaders have an actual vision and are not so focused on micromanaging, because they are thinking about that bigger picture and they trust the people that they're leading to, do their jobs to get them there. I think great leaders are also great communicators, and that includes not only speaking but also being a great listener. They are probably very empathetic. They know how to use empathy and understanding for whoever they're leading. And also, I think just open-mindedness in terms of not only external ideas and being open to, change from other people, but also open-mindedness in terms of questioning their own beliefs and their own opinions about things, so that they are constantly doing checks and balances to make sure they're not getting tunnel vision toward this one thing.
Have you had any role models, any mentors who help you shape your career journey over the years?
I have worked with a lot of really great coaches. Typically I think they all are business coaches, but there of course is a level of mindset work that has to come with coaching. So whether that's short term or long term, I have definitely worked with a lot of people at different stages in my business to help me sort of expand into something new, the next new thing that I'm ready for. I have found that it's really important for me to be able to externalize my ideas and have a space to do that, but also to be challenged on my beliefs or opinions that might not be helpful for me. So yeah, coaching has been a very helpful part of my business journey for sure.
Key career lesson. If there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way, what would it be that you can share with us?
I think the hardest lesson that I had to learn was really to just be myself, which sounds so cheesy and cliche, but I spent a lot of my first few years of business really trying to emulate what I saw other successful people doing. I tried to be like them. I tried to create offers like them. I tried to even like kind of take on their personality. But once I started trusting myself to put more of myself into my business, into my work, into my content, into my marketing, that's when I actually started connecting with my ideal clients, the people who were actually right for me. And I have just not looked back since. I just think there's so much value in really allowing ourselves to express our own ideas, like tease out our own ideas, develop our own unique methodologies, share our message in a way that's actually feels natural to us. We're just going to get such better results in the long run when we approach our businesses like that versus trying to copy what somebody else successful did.
Okay, well, we have a little tradition in the American Business Podcast. I have a question for you coming from our previous guest, and I'll ask you to leave me a question. For our coming guest, I'll ask you a question in the next episode, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the question for you coming from our previous guest is, given the addiction of using social media and smartphones very often nowadays, how to measure employee performance?
Okay, well, just so everyone's clear, I don't have employees and I'm also not an employee, so I'm definitely not qualified to answer this question.
Okay.
But since you asked, I'll just wing it. I think that there is a lot of value in trusting people to do their jobs. And of course, that's more complicated, right? You have to, of course, first find the right people and then develop that relationship over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the best way to measure employee performance is, are they doing the things that the job requires? And I think a lot of times leaders, going back to leadership, we are really lacking that vision. And more importantly, we're lacking an actual specific mission that isn't just a bunch of word salad. Like, what are we actually trying to achieve here? What is everyone in the company or organization responsible for as it relates to achieving that mission? And are they doing that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
That's a great answer. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your thoughts. I appreciate it. Okay, well, what is your question for our next guest in the American Business Podcast?
I would love to know from your next guest, what, like, beyond making money, beyond profit, which of course is the point of business, but beyond that, why is the work that they do so important? And not necessarily like to them, like what they're passionate about, but why is it important to their company or their industry or society or even like the whole world in general?
Okay, we'll make sure to ask that question in the next episode, and it's gonna be tomorrow, so you don't have to wait too long for the answer.
Okay, great.
All right, sounds good. Well, in this part of the episode in the American Business Podcast, do you have any question that you would like to ask me?
I do, yeah. It's very clear that you have built something very substantial, not just with your own career and your own personal journey, but also just with this podcast and the immense growth that you've seen in such a short amount of time. So I am wondering, what do you think is going to be your next sort of evolution in business?
I'm glad you asked. Well, actually, I was working with my team this morning. So where we are going right now, so the American Business Podcast, and its features solid. I mean, it looks really great. The American businesses, they really support us. We truly appreciate it. And there is a lot to do, of course. The podcast evolved from entry-level podcast to right now a mid-sized podcast in its own right, which we truly appreciate. Now we are getting ready to launch our Chamber of Commerce. So we call these, since you asked it first time, I'm sharing with our audience. So yes, it is, yeah, flash. All right. So well, it's called America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry, AVCII. So that is the name, and it's coming up. So we are getting ready to launch it. I'm quite a networker. I network through different chambers, associations, and they have their own expertise in either in different regions or different industries. So this Chamber of Commerce will be America's virtual Chamber of Commerce, covering all the regions, all the industries, with committees divided into different practices. And that is America's true virtual Chamber of Commerce. So that is what we are getting ready to launch.
Wow.
And this is where it is going. Yes, absolutely. So America started this podcast, right? With the power of American economy, with entrepreneurship, with innovation, and we are the voice of American business. So the one that I mentioned to you, every last Friday of every month, we have our Podcasting Plus networking event. That was actually preparation for the Chamber of Commerce. So in the American Business Podcast, we talk about different issues, we share insights. On Fridays every month, we take action. We connect professionals to each other. Now we are taking it to the next level in terms of connecting businesses, America's businesses, whether that's for commerce or industry, and that's where it is going with these evolutions. So we are very excited, and that's going to be a great journey. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds really exciting, but also like a huge project.
It really is. It really
Yeah.
is. Well, luckily, because we position ourselves as a national podcast, we have a lot of followers nationally in different states. So we're going to start committees in terms of different practices, manufacturing, international trade, health and wellness, marketing, business development. And we are also starting chapters, regional chapters. So those who are following us very closely, some of them like to head those chapters. And in addition to virtual meetings, we'll also have in-person meetings. That's where we are going. And these connections, so regardless of where you are in states, you can connect with any business professionals, and you can expand your ecosystem and connections. And this is good for economic development and empowerment. That's actually where we are going fundamentally. And that is our fundamental mission in the American Business Podcast. Now it's evolving into a different operation. However, we are still on that important mission in terms of promoting, supporting, uplifting American businesses, nonprofits, manufacturers, and the business community.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. That's really exciting. I'm
Well,
glad
thank you
I
for
asked
asking.
that question.
I'm glad you did. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, great. Let's continue our conversation. What is your career advice for next generation professionals?
Try stuff. Like, really, that's it. Just try stuff. I think that we are very conditioned to, do well in school so that you can get into another good school. Pick your thing when you're 18 years old, which is so young, or, some kids are even starting college even younger. Pick your one thing, study really hard, get good at that, choose your career based off of that, and then do it forever, and then retire and die. Like, that's the trajectory traditionally. And I mean, that does work for some people, but I think for a lot of people, they really feel held back. They get to a point in their life where they're like, why did I choose this instead of trying these other things? And sometimes you have no idea what's going to be exciting to you until you actually just try it. And also with that, you have to be willing to quit stuff too, which is also kind of hard for some people. But I really think it's the best way to figure out where your passions lie, and also, what your skill set is. What skills do you want to develop? What natural talents do you have? And honestly, this is a lifelong process, but especially when you're young, just try stuff, be willing to be bad at it, and be willing to quit it if it's not the right fit.
For those who like to continue this conversation, what is the best way that they can learn about your organization, get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I typically work with coaches, consultants, thought leaders, online service providers. So if you are one of those things and you are listening to this and you are at a point in your business where it's sort of a transition point, you are pivoting or, evolving, expanding in some way, or you just really want to specialize, I have a masterclass that walks you through the 5 things you need in order to position yourself as an expert. And I would love to invite you to check that out. You get instant access. It's only $7, and that's just asiador.com/masterclass.
This is great. Asia, for your time. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your professional insights and your professional wisdom with us in the American Business Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. This has been great.
It's my pleasure, and I wish you a great day.
Thank you.
And to our listeners and to our viewers, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I like it very much. It was very informative. And what do you think? How is your branding strategy? And how you are preparing yourself in this age of AI? What is your take? Please share your thoughts in the comment section and join the conversation. And if you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe and support us. We'll truly appreciate it. We'll be right back after a short break. Thank you very much.